So good morning friends. Today we come directly to the syllabi of paper 1, and the very first point we take today is Ice and Fire, written by Edmund Spenser. So before we come to the text of the poem, it is important for us to keep in our mind the time period, the span of Edmund Spenser. So you should note the span of Spenser is 1552 to 1599. This is the time when Queen Elizabeth was reigning in England. So this period is also known as the age of Elizabeth, or the era of Elizabeth. Here you have to relate the span of poet to the relevant school, to the relevant era, or to the relevant age, or to the relevant period of particular fraction of time, which we know as the periods of literature. So Spenser has been quite an important poet of the Elizabethan era, and his two works are very popular. These two works are, one is the Fairy Queen and the second one is the Shepherd's Calendar. These two poems are very important, written by Spenser, and one collection of poems written by Spenser is quite popular, and the name of that collection is Amoreti. You can also keep in your mind uh, this particular term, the anthology. Anthology means the collection of poems. So this Amoreti has been a collection of poems written by Spenser, and this present poem, Ice and Fire, has been included in that Amoreti, in that anthology. So this Ice and Fire has been a very popular poem which is often prescribed in undergraduate literature courses, and this poem has been a fine example of paradox. So again, it is a literary term, paradox. Paradox means a statement, a particular situation which is full of contradictions. This is what we know as paradox. These three literary terms are close to each other. One is paradox, one is oxymoron, and one is antithesis. So we may come to these literary terms later on when we shall discuss terms separately. So, Ice and Fire, written by Edmund Spenser, has been a poem based on paradox. It has been a poem based on the predicament of the lover. It's a poem about two fellows, two people. One is the lover and another is the beloved. So this poem speaks on behalf of the lover, and lover comes up with a sort of complaint. Lover comes up with a sort of predicament. What is the predicament of the lover? That lover has been very enthusiastic. The lover has been full of warm feelings and emotions. He wants to go further. He wants to go ahead in love relationship, in love affair. But the point of problem is, rather the problem is, that is lady lover, that is beloved, is cold-hearted, is not that much enthusiastic. She is not interested in love, though she loves her lover. But at this particular point of time, at this particular juncture of time, the lady love is not interested. And such beloveds are generally portrayed in the literature of the Elizabethan times. The beloveds, the queens, the ladies were very much, cautious of their virginity. There are so many such characters found in the contemporary times, in contemporary literatures. So this poem is relevant. This poem has been in accordance with the contemporary literature. So the predicament of the lover has been portrayed through this poem, Ice and Fire. And the title itself is suggestive of the term paradox. Here, ice stands for beloved, and fire stands for lover. Now, the lover compares himself to the fire. This is the fire of love. This is the fire of emotions. This is the fire of feelings that he wants to catch hold of his beloved. He wants to enjoy all sorts of pleasures, the carnal pleasures. He wants to enjoy the happy, the happy wedded life with the beloved. And rather, he wants to express his love for his lady. But the lady, as there was a fashion in the contemporary times, the beloveds, the ladies are they are testing the intensity of love present in the lover. So the very first line of the poem is very suggestive of the theme of the entire poem, or rather the literary term which is in your course. So I come to the very first line of the poem. My love is light to eyes and eye to fire. The lover says in the very first line of the poem that my love, my beloved, my lady has been cold hearted, has been passive, is not interested. He compares lady with ice. Ice stands for, which is not full of warmth, which is not full of intensity. And he compares himself to fire. This is paradox. This is a paradoxical statement that he compares himself with ice and he compares himself with fire. Rather, he compares his beloved to ice. How comes it then that this her gold so great? Now, in the very second line of the poem, the poet says that I am not able to believe that why is it happening? How is it happening? It is not possible for ice to exist in the company of fire, or it is not possible for fire to exist in the company of ice. Since both are contradictory in nature, in temperament, how are they existing together? Similarly, the lover, which is full of warmth, is very much close to the beloved, but the beloved is full of coldness. This analogy has been presented by the poet. This comparison has been aptly, exclusively presented by the poet. That fire and ice cannot exist together. Similarly, love, which is full of warmth, cannot exist where the beloved doesn't have that intensity. Because there should be the direct effect of love on the beloved. She should come forward, but it is not happening. So, this is the predicament of the lover. This is the predicament of the beloved. That the lover has not been able to move. The lover has not been able to mold the mindset of the beloved to go further, to go ahead in love. So the first two lines are very important, and these first four lines are generally asked in examination particularly in Unit 1, where you have to attempt the question of reference to context. You people have to write that these four lines have been taken from Ice and Fire, written by Edmund Spenser. And in the next line, you have to write that Edmund Spenser belongs to the Elizabethan school, Elizabethan era. In in your answer, you have to speak, you have to give hint that to which particular age does the poet belong to which particular school does the poet belong to. You have to give the connection of the poet to his era, to his school, to particular movement. Every poet, every writer is the product of that particular age. That's why the features of age, the features of era naturally comes or naturally gets reflected through the writings. There has been a direct relationship between the poet and his age, AGE. That's why we have to study the ages of literature. We have to study the periods of literature. So when you write answers, you come to this point: to which particular age Milton belongs to which particular age John Donne belongs to which particular age Alexander Pope belongs to. So you will write that Alexander Pope belongs to the neoclassical era of literature. Wordsworth belongs to the romantic school of literature. Right? So this is very important, and you have to do this practice for all these 3 years. Because in first year you have poems taken from Elizabethan period of literature, taken from neoclassical school of literature, taken from metaphysical school of literature. These are different ages. And in second year you have entire romantic poetry: Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats, Byron, Coleridge. And in third year you have Victorian school of literature, poetry belonging to Victorian era. Right? So my love is like to ice and I to fire. How comes it then that this her cold is so great? The poet is not able to believe that in spite of his great warmth, in spite of his great intensity of love, the beloved is still cold-hearted, is still unresponding. Why is she unresponding? Why is she not coming forward? Is a enigmatic problem for the lover. This is the meaning of these two lines. Is not dissolved through my so hot desire. And the poet says, the lover says, that why is it happening that in spite of all my warmth, love is full of warmth, love is full of emotions, love which has no bounds. The lover feels that the love which I hold for my beloved is that much great, is that much extreme, that her cold heartedness should come to an end. But unfortunately, her cold heartedness is not coming to an end. This is a sort of, you know, this is a sort of puzzle. This is a sort of enigma for the lover. And he puts this point in the very third line of the poem: is not dissolved through my so-called desire, but harder grows the more I her entreat. But to her surprise, to his surprise, the lover says, the more I try to win her favor, the more harder she grows. Poet says, what does the poet say? In the very fourth line of the poem. The more I try to win her favor, the more hard she grows. This is paradox. The more he does efforts so that he may mold, he may change her mindset, but more hard. This is no. These are the testifications of love. Love is tested, and this is what we know in the language of literature. This is courtship, and there are constant, uh, there are constant and consistent efforts on the part of lover, so that he could win the favor of the beloved. So these are the four lines. My love is like to ice and I to fire. How comes it then that this her cold so great is not dissolved through my so-called desire, dissolved, coming to an end, but harder grows the more I her entry, more I try to be near, she becomes more and more hard.